Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter DeMarzo. I'm currently Interim Dean here at the GSB, and it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you to the Global Capitalism, Trust, and Accountability Conference, part of the newly launched program on capitalism and democracy. This program is a collaboration between the Stanford Graduate School of Business and the Center for Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law, CDDRL. It reflects Stanford's commitment to tackling some of the most pressing challenges at the intersection of markets, policy, and democracy. And when the program launched, I think it was almost exactly 1 year ago, outgoing Dean John Levin, now Stanford's president, remarked it would be centered exactly at the intersection of business decision-making, policy-making, and the foundations of democratic institutions. He acknowledged that too often we have avoided or ignored difficult questions about the role of corporations in society. Today's conference is intended to address and explore those very questions. Global capitalism has transformed economies, trade, and financial systems, but has also created new complexities. Corporate structures and financial systems often operate beyond the reach of individual governments, making it difficult to enforce regulations, prevent corruption, or ensure accountability. Everyone in this room, whether you're a faculty member, a government official, a leader, a future leader, has a role to play in helping to highlight and bringing understanding around these complexities. I'd especially like to acknowledge Anat Admati, the driving force behind the GSB's Corporations and Society Initiative, whose work has been foundational to the launch of this program. I had the lucky experience to partner with Anat in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, researching how to improve the safety and stability of the banking system. But beyond just research, her perseverance, tenacity, and willingness to repeatedly engage with policymakers sets her apart from most academics. I'd also like to recognize Didi, Center Fellow at CDDRL, for her contributions to this program and for advancing research on democracy and governance. Additionally, I'd like to thank the scholars and experts gathered here for this conference. Your work is essential in bringing these critical issues to light and laying the groundwork for meaningful solutions. I hope today's conversations will be both thought-provoking and constructive. Through discussions like these, we can begin to develop the frameworks needed to ensure that global capitalism is held accountable to live up to its promise and restore public trust in democratic institutions and markets. Thank you all for being here. It's now my pleasure to introduce Kathryn Stoner, the Mosbacher Director of the Center on Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law. Kathryn serves as a Senior Fellow at the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies and holds a courtesy professorship in political science at Stanford. Her scholarship focuses on state building, democracy, and governance, with a particular emphasis on Russia. We're grateful for this partnership with Kathryn and her team as we pursue our mission of educating leaders who make a significant impact in the world, especially in today's dynamic and complex landscape. Thanks, Kathryn.
Thank you. I'm going to keep my comments short. You can probably hear my voice, and so it's better for everyone if I do. My job is merely to join the chorus of welcome you all to Stanford. I'm glad that we could supply good weather for you today, but I can scarcely think of a better time to have a conference on the topic of the future and fate of global capitalism, trust, and accountability. As we are, is it Liberation Friday today, in the wake of a new package of tariffs, the likes of which we have not seen for probably close to 100 years. I look forward to hearing the discussion on the future of global capitalism at a time when trust in governing institutions is, in the United States at least, at an all-time low, and there are true questions about how robust at least American democracy is. Peter mentioned that I'm a scholar of governance and democracy, and then he mentioned Russia. So I'm also a scholar of the opposite things than good governance, which is bad governance, opposite of democracy, autocracy, and still Russia. Russia has gone through a lot of the problems that you will talk about today, a disaffection with global capitalism, increasing encroachment by the state on private property and on markets, very low levels of trust in government, and practically no accountability in governance. Hopefully this is not the way of the West, and that the United States will not completely, through current policies or past policies, completely undermine the structure of the global economic system. But I look forward to learning from all of you about where we're going, where we've been, and whether there is reason for hope. I also want to join Peter in thanking Anat and Didi for bringing this wonderful program together, for bringing all of you here. It was a huge lift, I know, for them in planning this conference. And also thank you to Lisa and the team here at the GSB and our team at CDDRL. Again, welcome, and we look forward to the program. Here is Anat, everybody. Here is Didi, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Kathryn. So welcome, everyone, to the inaugural conference of the program on capitalism and democracy at Stanford. We're thrilled to welcome such an esteemed group to discuss topics of global capitalism, trust, and accountability. We have brought together the foremost scholars of these topics across many disciplines, including business, law, political science, economics, sociology, and history. We also welcome the practitioners, activists, and journalists who have been raising public awareness of the challenges related to contemporary global capitalism. We are tapping into this rich intellectual community in order to build a research agenda for the future, to study these topics, and to find common concepts and theories across these disciplinary silos, which all too often obfuscate what we know. Our goal is to inform both scholarly and policy audiences, and the relationship of democracy and capitalism, which has long been considered mutually beneficial, is now fraying at best. So what role do the institutions, actors, accountability mechanisms, and norms that currently exist play in this relationship of democracy and capitalism, and how might they be changing? Over the next 2 days, we will learn from a range of perspectives on these topics that inform what we know, what we don't yet know, and how we can ask and answer more precise questions. We appreciate the work that all of our participants, speakers, and audience members are doing on these topics. So I now hand it over to Anat, my wonderful colleague who spearheaded this project and this conference in particular.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Kathryn. Thank you, Didi. So as Peter alluded to, I was jolted out of my bubble by the financial crisis, where I realized that my discipline of financial economics was just not explaining to me what I was seeing, and I needed to engage farther. And over the years since then, it became clear to me that the complex interactions among people and institutions across private sector and governments around the globe is what's going on, is the key to what's going on, and that to fully understand these issues, it's impossible to just engage with one discipline, with its assumptions, and potentially blind spots to other things going on. So the academic setting does not offer a lot of opportunities for interdisciplinary, and there are no incentives really to do so. We all go to our conferences with our friends. We publish in these journals that are read by our friends, and but we really do need to do this. And so it's hard to bring everybody together, and it's also hard to communicate across these silos, but it's really essential and it's really worthy. Our research, our teaching, our impact, the world will be better off when we do it. So I'm grateful to all of you here for joining in this effort. Those in the room, those with us virtually or watching later, especially speakers, for your engagement. This conference builds on one that we had in December 2020. Unfortunately, it had to be virtual, on corporations and democracy. A few of you were here and were involved in that conference. And so I don't want to take too long talking about it, because I have my timekeeper over there, Kate, and you will see her throughout, keeping the time. So she'll show me again in a little bit. And so I'll skip right now the people who were involved then, and some of whom spoke, some of the ones here spoke then too. And some of them helped me a lot with this conference, so I will mention you later. We're going to focus, as was said, on issues around trust and accountability. We will have some journalists here because journalists are important for accountability. But we will leave the issues that some of which we discussed then about knowledge, truth, media, to another conference. So we avoided that and stuck to a focus on basic law enforcement, corruption, trust, et cetera, et cetera. So when people engage across disciplines, it's sometimes difficult to connect the dots. For the audience, it looks like, blind men touching an elephant. And so we asked some people to serve as discussants, which means that they come in each panel last after 3 panelists, and their job is to bring their own perspective, but to also sort of connect the dots on the previous one. So it's not just 4 panelists, it's 3 panelists and a discussant. The moderator also helps do the bridging, do the translation for the broad audience, etc. So I don't know that I have time to talk about our beautiful keynotes coming up too, aside from 5 panels, but only mention, so we're gonna have Tom Wright, that one MDB scandal probably has it all in terms of corruption, in terms of enablings of corruption, all of that. And Judge Rakoff will pick up the topic of cryptocurrency, which many people wanted us to discuss, and we didn't quite have a lot of time for it, except for a brief mention in the second panel. The last session of this conference is going to be the one that we are probably not videotaping, not zooming out, but we'll summarize, because that one we don't have visitors, we don't have panelists, we just have a brainstorm. It was at the request of one of the participants who wouldn't come here otherwise, and so it's meant to reflect what we learned. So otherwise, it's all videotaped and on the record. We will look to have contributions and content generated from this conference, and in this, we will also ask non-participants, non-speakers to potentially contribute short essays. So that's it. We are going to explore why trustworthiness is important for global capitalism, emphasis on worthiness, why it's elusive, what to do about it. Our first panel will explore the issue of trustworthiness as it comes to the big words of capitalism and democracy. So I call our first panel in. Thank you very much.